Hi everyone, I want to talk about one of the most impactful, maybe the most powerful effect of the season theme in Season 27, and that one goes to the Barbarian with the Whirlwind Pull effect. And you can see it in action here. So I've been trying this out a little bit. I've played Waste Barb, and I've tried to just make like some tanky kind of support setup just to see how it works, and it's actually amazingly powerful, as you can see here. So this was a bit like what I expected it would be like for this to be any kind of useful. So this is a little bit like the Season 1 Raker Charge Barb that used to be called the Bus Driver Barb, because he could just infinitely pull enemies along with the charge, and that rune was removed later, and then later on there was also the monster crowd control resistance introduced, so that this was not possible anymore. But this whirlwind effect actually allows you to continuously pull enemies, completely ignoring their CC immunity, and you can make insane amounts of insane monster stacks in no time with this. And they actually get also grouped up really tightly, so this is almost like pixel stacking. It is extremely fun, it is extremely powerful, and this will most likely be so good that even support buffs might use this in high GR 4-man rifts. This is how good that effect is. And in fact, it's so good that it even outperforms the dedicated Hammer of the Ancients power that the Barbarians got for the Hammer of the Ancients build. So even Hoda runs this whirlwind power, which also speaks a bit about the weakness about the Hoda power, I guess, which just doesn't really seem that impactful. So I expect this will be massively buffed to make sure that at least the Hoda build does run the Hoda power. But here we are. So you can see me here pulling this entire festering woods together, maybe leaving like a few, stranded mobs in the corner or so. But it is super fast. You can just whirl around. Everything gets pulled with you, as you can see here. It's a bit like the Crusader horse with drawn quarter, but it just pulls enemies along infinitely. It is a little bit tricky in some situations where you might have to go like a bit zigzag or so to try to catch everything, especially once the clump of monsters behind you gets larger and larger. So there seems to be some kind of like realistic limit of how many monsters you can capture at once. You see sometimes they drop out and you have to go back and catch more. But to see how big of a pull I made in just like 2 minutes here or 3 minutes, I basically pulled the entire map together. And then you just go back and get the rest basically. And this will be super powerful for any kind of group play. This will be super powerful for solo, and it does make the Whirlwind Barb way more fun. So this is a very easy to use power compared to like regular support barb. I would say it's like infinitely more easy. So I think a lot of more people will actually get to enjoy playing a support barb in the next season as well. Typically, support barb is considered one of the most difficult to play builds in the game, at least for the high GR pushing, because of the rage flip and ground stomp interactions and stuff like that. But here we go. The Whirlwind Z-Barb meme has actually become a thing. One cool part about this power is also that it allows you to play bad maps way better than you used to. Usually you have the issue, you go from your big Fields of Misery or Festering Woods or Battlefields map into a crypt like this, and you just instantly quit the game because you cannot make pulls, you cannot deal damage to anything without like 50 monsters stacked with area damage. And you can still kind of make pulls. It's obviously not as good, but it does work way better than usual because you have the ability to actually group up the monsters that you usually don't have at all in these kind of maps. And in the case of the Whirlwind Barb, you also deal significant damage while actually making the pull. You just pull everything along with you, you apply your automatic rends all the time, and you also stay rather safe. So these monsters are basically perma crowd controlled, they don't hit you. In some cases you even get your squirt stacks if there's like no ground effects or some ranged monsters hitting you or something like that. So it is actually pretty insane how good of the power this is. And honestly, Barbarian has been rather weak for most of its builds in the recent seasons. The only exception is Raker Barb, which is the best build in the game right now actually for solo pushing. But it probably doesn't really profit much from this power. So it remains to be seen if you're gonna see some Whirlwind Raker setup. I guess there's a good chance. But on the other hand, Barbarians are generally underrepresented, are generally rather weak. Also, the Whirlwind Barb itself is not exactly really like one of the top builds for a long time already. So it's nice to see a bit of like a bump up here, and I think the Barbarians can definitely just get away with this without being like super OP. And if you want to see the power of this whirlwind effect, you can see it on the PTR leaderboards right now. Here's Cosmic Pulse, who has cleared 150 at 2.8k Paragon. This is with very good gear, so this needs to be said. But usually Hoda Barb will not really have a chance at 150 before like 5k, maybe 6k Paragons or so, and even so with extreme fishing. So this was probably done with way less attempts and yeah, with way lower Paragons. So it definitely does shape up to be a pretty good season for Barbarians, especially for Hoda, I guess also for Reka, because well, Reka can only get better and it is already really powerful. So especially on the solo pushing department, Barbarians are gonna be amazing, I believe. In terms of farming builds, I don't think that this whirlwind power will really change very much. Maybe this Hoda power will get mega buffed and the shockwave gonna become really good and you suddenly can like speed farm with it or so. I'm kind of in doubt about this because Reka is just so good at speed farming. I've done this a lot in season 26 and it was really strong, and with the inner nerf it is definitely going to be one of the top contenders. Personally, I think this whirlwind pull power is actually so cool and so fun that this kind of has to stay in the game afterwards. And we have a really good candidate for an item rework here. I believe that would kind of make it balance as well, which is the Skull Grasp. So I think it's not even too unlikely that the Skull Grasp is going to get reworked to just have this whirlwind effect after season 27. And it would lead to some interesting like itemization choices you have to make, where you can decide to either run a combination of elements or you can run that Skull Grasp. And yeah, maybe you want to do this as a support. So you would have a bit of like a cost for the power you gain. I think that would be pretty amazing. I think everyone who has played Barb on the PTR will agree with something like that, I guess. It's just super fun and it does solve a lot of issues that the class has. And it does make some of the builds that the Barbarian has a bit more powerful, which is dearly needed anyway. So those are my 2 cents. Let me know what you think about the Barbarians. I think it's going to be a great season for them, no matter what kind of role you want to play. So I'm personally looking forward to that as well. Hope you like this video, subscribe for more Diablo content, and I'll see you guys next time.